guys, it's Mariana, and today I'm going to be doing my monthly wrap-up.
I think Coolsville sucks.
What you call a icon living? Puerto Rican living mission, it's just did it. I love over 5 minutes. Whoa, we up too hot in the place.
So I read 30 books in August. Yes, you heard that right. 30 books in August. And not a single one was a graphic novel or a manga. And not saying that like those don't count as books, but I'm just saying like for me, I know that when I'm trying to reach a goal, I will like read a bunch of like mangas and graphic novels to help me reach that goal. Like say I want to read like 15 books in May and like I read like 10, so I'll read 5 graphic novels. But this month I did not read any. Like I read 30 full-length novels and I am so proud of myself. Like I really pushed through it. So the first book I read was Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and this was the first 5-star book that I read of the month. This is an Arcanist book, does come out in November. This book, I freaking loved it. This book is about a girl named Chloe Brown who is fat and she has an illness, and so she has this list to, you know, get a life, and she just has like a bunch of lists of things to do, and she lives in like this apartment, and then there's Red who also lives there, and they hate each other, and then they, you know what happens in Hate to Love. And this was my first Talia Hibbert book that I read, and I absolutely loved it. I also read A Duke by Default, which I gave 3 stars. This book is the second book in, I forgot what the series name is. I forgot what the first book was, but I read the first book a couple of months ago and I didn't really like it. It was good, but I didn't really like it. So I was like, you know, I'm gonna pick up the other book, you know, because I don't mind continuing the series even though I didn't like the first book. So I picked it up and I didn't really like it. So I'm just gonna stop reading this series here. Also, I couldn't find it on Libby. They literally only had a Duke by Default on there. So I'm just gonna stop reading the series. The series is not for me, and that is totally fine. Then I read The Princess Trap by Talia Hibbert, which I gave 4 stars. I really liked it. This book is about a girl who works for the school, and there's this prince who like wants to give this scholarship to the school, and they meet because she like, her boss is like a douchebag, and so she like interrupts their interview because she hears like a really hot guy there. So, you know, and it has some really good smut scenes. Okay, like, was absolutely amazing. And I also read the second book, which is called Wanna Bet, which I gave 2 stars because I did not care about that book. It was not as good as The Princess Trap. Okay, I did not like the book at all. A Court of Mist and Fury, which is the second book in the Avatar series. I gave this book 4 stars. I think I gave it 4 stars because everyone else hypes this book up and they say it's the best book in the series. So when I was reading it, I expected it to be like this amazing thing, but it didn't really live up to my expectations. Like, it was good. It was really good. I really liked it. I really like Reese and certain aspects of the book. Like, I like how Tamlin is all like, you're gonna be my wife and you have to do this. While Reese is always like, you're your own girl. Like, do whatever you want. I really don't care. So I really did like those aspects of the book, but it just wasn't as good as I expected it to be. I am glad that I got to meet Cassian because I really do like his character. I'm really sad that like Lucian, his name is Lucian, right? Lucian was my favorite book in the Akatar series. So when I got to this one, I was like, yes, my boo. He was really, like, I did not care about him in this book at all. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. I'm gonna continue with the series, obviously, but it just didn't live up to the hype that it did for me. I need to stop focusing on the hype because literally when books don't live up to the hype, I'm not saying it makes me take off a star, but I just don't enjoy it as much. Next, I read a book called Long Shot, and this book is about a girl who's dating a basketball player, and she ends up going to this bar and meeting another guy who's a basketball player, and they end up like talking, and he really likes her, but then he finds out that he's another guy's girlfriend. And don't worry, this book does not have cheating, but this book does have abuse. And I was really invested. I gave this book 3 stars. I was really invested, but I just found out that I'm not a fan of second chance romance books. Like, well, it's not that I'm not a fan of it. It's just that like this book was very like, I can't say cutesy because it does have abuse in it. And like this man is absolutely, her basketball player boyfriend is absolutely insane. She has like a baby, and like there's one day he's in the car and I think she like I believe she like threatens to like leave him or whatever, and then like she's in the car and the cops stop her and she's like, this car doesn't belong to you and you've been reported for kidnapping your baby and blah 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 blah. And like he literally like tries to ruin her because she said like, because he proposed to her and she didn't accept it or something like that. And I was like, this man is insane. But you know, she finally like works herself to like leave him, and she ends up like not really getting involved with the other guy. But I don't know, it was very there, the other guy's relationship and hers are very like cutesy, and like I'm just a really big fan of like banter and hate to love, and this book didn't have any of that, so I was bored. I read Jetstorm, which I gave 2 out of 5 stars, and this is the second book and the this is the second book in the Shadow of Bone series. Did not really care about this book at all. We got to meet Nikolai, which I love. Nikolai, I love him. I literally only read this series so I can reread Six of Crows in September, and then read Crooked Kingdom in September, so I can read King of Scars, so I can see more of my man's Nikolai, because I am in love with him. He's beautiful. He's amazing. Then I read The Right Swipe, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. I really like this book. This book is about a girl who works for this dating company and dating app, and there's another guy who works on the dating app too, and they have to like work together, and she does not like him because he ghosted her before, and I've been ghosted before, so I've been ghosted a lot. So sis, I know how it feels. So when she was like going off on him for ghosting her, I was like, yes sis, like get him, like go in. He deserves it because he ghosted you, and men are trash, so of course he deserved it. Then they like make up, and it's not really a spoiler, but then they kind of do like this fake dating thing where it's like it's not fake dating, but I call it fake dating because it's basically literally fake dating, where it's like they go out, and they go out for like press to make it look like she's helping him with like the dating app or something like that, but they like go out in public so like people can like take pictures of them. That's literally what fake dating is, but go off sis. I read The Diviners by Libra Bray, and this book is set in the 1920s, and it is about a girl who has powers, and anybody who has powers they kind of call diviners, and she can like tell something from like the past just by like touching your item and stuff. And they're at like this party one night, and she does something that she shouldn't have done, so her parents send her away to New York to live with her uncle. And there's this guy, and I forget what they call him, but he's like very creepy, and everyone said that this book was really, really creepy, but I guess as a horror movie stan, I just didn't see that. So I kind of put my expectations high. Like I thought I was gonna be having nightmares, but I just thought like the book didn't have a plot, and I got bored halfway through, and I was waiting for the plot to kick in, but there is no plot. And so I then read An Ember in the Ashes, which I gave 3 out of 5 stars. And this book is about a girl and it's like a fantasy world. Her brother does something, like he steals something, so like their government kind of like comes and they take him, and she doesn't know if he's dead or alive, but she spends the whole book looking for him. And it also follows another character, and I really just did not care about this book at all. So yeah. Then I read The Poppy War, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. Well, it's more like 4.5 out of 5 stars to. I really, really enjoyed this book. The more I think about it, the more I want to give it 5 stars to. But I'm also really set on that 4.5 stars. I really don't know. But I really, really love this book. This book is basically about it's a fantasy. And the fantasy world is basically China, and they're at war with another fantasy Japan. And I just really, really love this book so much. I love the characters. It was very gory, but it was not as gory as I was expecting. Like, a lot of stuff does happen, but I see a lot of messed up horror movies, okay? I've seen a lot of messed up things. And so I was expecting a lot more. And it did give me that, but I was expecting a lot more, if that makes sense. Y'all probably think I'm a psychopath. I can't, like, I promise you guys I'm not. But I still like this book. And it was really, really good. And I'm excited to read the second book. I kind of don't want to read it because I don't want to wait for the third book. But also, I miss the characters in this book, okay? So, this book was really, really good, and I loved it. Next, I read 2 books that are in a series. One is called Moon Called, and one is called Bloodbound. I gave both of these books 3 stars because I didn't really care about them. They're paranormal books, like paranormal urban romance, and I've been trying to get into that kind of genre for a while now, but I just can't because not a lot of them were good to me. I think it's like I really did not care about this book. The series is called the Mercy Thompson series, and it's basically just about this girl who is a were-coyote. I don't know if that's it or if I'm thinking of Teen Wolf, but she lives in like the world she lives in has like a bunch of werewolves and vampires and things like that, and it's just basically about her being a were-coyote. I really don't know if I'm thinking of Teen Wolf or not, but she's not a werewolf, but she's aware of something, okay? And it's just basically about her, and then she's like in love with this werewolf, and like, you know, like I said, there's vampires involved. And the book did not have a plot, and I think the overall series doesn't really have like, I feel like each book is something different, and I kind of like when each book is something different, but it has an overall plot, like something that happens in the end. But I don't believe that this series has that, and there's so many books in this series. I was like, okay, I literally was gonna keep reading the series, but I'm like, okay, I'm clearly not enjoying these 2 books, so let me just stop right here. So I finally stopped myself, and then I read The Last Magician, which I really liked. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. This month I had a lot of 4-star reads, to be honest. This book has to do with time travel, and I really liked that. I did not think I was gonna like it, but I really liked it. It's also set in, I don't know, old times. I don't know. And they time travel. And I really liked it. And I liked the characters, and I liked the romance because there was a little bit of hate to love, and it was just, I was like, okay, I'm feeling this. I really liked the main characters. And yeah. This is a really good book. And the cover is beautiful. And oh my gosh, the covers for the series so beautiful. Like, this is beautiful. I still have to take this. This is beautiful. But then the 3rd book is called The Serpent Something, and it's so beautiful. And I can't wait until it comes out. I need to read this book, but it is literally thick. It is a thick girl, okay? So I'm scared, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I finally read the Truth Wish series. And okay, let me get into this. I like the Truth Wish series, and when I gotta explain what this is about. This is basically about a country that's at war, okay? A fantasy place that's at war. And they have like different witches for literally everything. And at first I was like, okay, like I'm feeling this, like I really like that. But like when I say they have a witch for everything, they have a witch for everything. And at a certain point I was kind of just like, all right, at this point it's getting annoying. Like literally they have a witch for everything. So I like the book, but yeah, it also has a little bit of smut in there. So I feel it. I read 4 books in the series. I have not gotten to the last one yet, but this is the Beaver series. All right, so as I said in this video, I've been trying to get into paranormal and urban fantasy because I love paranormal. Like I love werewolves, and I've been trying to get into like vampires because I just was never about that vampire craze. But like I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like I grew up on that show, so like I like vampires. But yeah, this book is about fairies, so, and it's very smutty and it's very dark, and there's a character named Jericho Barons, and he is literally the love of my life. The first 2 books I gave 5 stars to, and then the next 2 books I kind of stopped feeling the series, which is why I didn't finish the last one, because it was literally like I was on a high and I went low. But I think it's because I literally binge read this whole series in one night. I read all 4 of these books in one night. So like by the time, and like I read these on ebooks, so they were a lot faster, but by the time it was time for me to get to the 5th book, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then with paranormal romances, they kind of just like, they are so long. Like they're so long, and then like once you think you're done, they're like, oh, let me give you a spinoff. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I don't like long series, if you guys have not noticed. literally when someone's like, oh, like I know a lot of you guys love long series. Like I can read trilogies, like I love trilogies, but long series I'm kind of just like someone's like, it has 5 books, and I'm like, all right, I think I'm good. Cause like by the time I get to the 3rd book, I kind of just stop caring, and then I'm pushing myself through the 4th one, which I mean didn't happen in the series. But the series is about a girl who has this sister who goes to college in Dublin, and her sister ends up like dying, and her sister, like, she gets a voicemail from her sister like when she's dying, like she's like, her sister's like, there's something I need to tell you, and blah blah blah. So of course she goes to Dublin to find out what the heck happened to her sister, and it's really really good. The girl is like a very stereotypical like rich white girl with blonde hair, but she ends up like changing throughout the series. And I don't know, I really like the books, and it's really really good. You guys should definitely give it a read. Like the series won't disappoint, and this has slow burn. And when I say this has slow burn, this has slow burn. Like they don't even get together until the 3rd book. Slow burn, okay? It was good. It was good, okay? The next book I read was The Wife Between Us, which I gave 3 out of 5 stars. This book, I can't really explain what this book is about because spoilers, but like I'll read you guys the synopsis for just this once. When you read this book, you will make many assumptions. You will assume you're reading about a jealous ex-wife. You will assume she is obsessed with her replacement, a beautiful younger woman who was to marry the man they both love. You will assume you know the anatomy of this love triangle. Assume nothing. That is what this book is about. I really can't explain this book without getting into spoilers, so I'm just gonna stop. But I did not like this book. The plot twist was The plot twist was revealed in the middle of the series. The plot twist was revealed in the middle of the book, and I was just kind of like, okay. I mean, once you really think about it, it's kind of obvious. Like once you really think about it, like I was a little shook, and I was like, all right. I think I'm more so like thrillers when I am shook, and this wasn't even like a thriller for real. Like this didn't have like the like somebody's like sneaking in at night and moving all of my shit. I don't know, but this was not like a thriller for real. It just was a plot twist book, literally. And then like after the middle, like from the middle to the end, it was really really boring. And then like they threw like this one last plot twist in the end, and I was just like, all right, thanks. So I wasn't really feeling this one, to be honest with you. And I read Radio Silence, which I really really liked. This book was really really good. I did not think I was gonna like this book just because it doesn't really have a plot, but I really loved it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was such a good book. This book is about a girl, and her name is Frances, and she is obsessed with like this YouTube channel called University High. And one day she gets drunk and she ends up finding the person who does make the podcast, and like she's a fangirl and she writes like, she makes fan art for them, and she ends up finding the person who does University High, and they end up becoming like really good friends. And the person who does it, I really relate to their character. I really just like how this book show how it is when you blow up on social media. Like, you know, like once you're used to like having like a small niche, and then you kind of blow up on YouTube and like everything changes. I think it really really shows that well. And I think anybody who does booktube in general, I don't know, me, I went from like 500 subscribers to 1,000 subscribers, and then I was growing really frequently up until 3K. So I was so used to being a small subscriber for a very long time that I really didn't know, not to like act big, but I really didn't know that like people care. Like at 6K, like people don't really care about what I do, but people care about what I do at the same time. I just really relate to that character a lot, and I really really love this book. It was so good. And that's me telling you to give it a read. Next, I read another thriller called Stillhouse Lake, and this book is about a wife who comes home one day and finds a car driven through her garage. And once the police, this is not spoilers by the way, this all happens in the first chapter. So the police comes up and she's like, this is my house, and they're like, ma'am, I'm gonna need you to put your hands on the wheel. And she's like, this is my house. And they find out that her husband is a serial killer and has been doing his serial killer stuff in the garage this whole time, and she didn't even know it. And I was like, okay, that's good. And so then like years later, he's like finally in prison, and she has to like change her name and like move and like change her kid's name and like do this like frequently. And so basically just shows like the kids, like how they adjust to it and all this stuff. And I thought the kids were the most annoying aspect to this book. Okay, I get that they're teenagers, but also your dad is a serial killer. Okay, like the way that they acted like such brats. Like, I get that they were teenagers and they're growing and stuff, but your dad was a serial killer. Like they were acting like their mom was being extra and stuff, and her mom was like, oh well, we have to like these like, because they're like trolls who like threaten to kill her and like threaten to do to her family what her husband did to them, because a lot of people don't believe that the wife didn't know what he was doing, you know. And the kids were really annoying, and I didn't really care about the ending. And it's a series, and you're probably wondering like, how does someone like continue on with this kind of thriller series, you know? But you know, Angel, my best friend, told me that the rest of the series kind of follows no plot anyways, so I'm just gonna leave this book and read it and just pretend it's a standalone. I gave it 4 stars. It was really, really good, and it kept me thrilled. I read this book on vacation in Florida, and I had my own room and my own bathroom. And when I tell you guys, I was so terrified, I did not go to bed until 4 o'clock. Which, I mean, that's not different from any other night, but like, I was on vacation, so I was kind of trying to go to bed at a normal person's time. And I would turn off the bathroom light and run and jump on my bed because I thought someone was hiding under it. But I'm like, why? How would a serial killer get under your bed, Mayana? You've been in this room all day. Anyways, I digress. Next, I read The Last Witch, which is the first book in the Witcher series, and I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. Like, the book was good, but it was just that it was good. Like, I kind of expected better. You could tell this book was translated because a lot of the way that they said things was just very you can just tell it was translated. I'm still gonna continue on with the series because I want to watch it for Netflix, and I'm not a video game player, but I do want to play the video game. Like, The Witcher just seems so interesting, and I want to be like, I read the book before I was a Netflix series. I read 2 series by one author. The first books in the series are, it's called the Fit series. It's Fit, Tame, and Rap. There was a 4th book, but I couldn't find it, so I just skipped it and went to Rap. Okay, this book is a different book, and it just follows, like, it's a very BDSM smutty book. Okay, so it follows like each different character like falling in love with the trainer. The first book is about a fat girl who falls in love with her trainer, and it was like good. I just felt like the books were really, really short. Like, the books were 120 pages on my iPad, so it was like really quick and easy to read. But I feel like they didn't build a relationship, or like the way that they kind of started working on them, like, there was no build up. Like, literally it was like the guy like, I like BDSM, and then the girl's like, oh, what's that? And the guy's like, let me show you, you know. And like, there was like no build up to it, and like, especially for you to be a trainer, like. And then I read another series called Haven and Sanctuary, and honestly, I read these books all in one day, so the series are kind of blurring together, and I don't really remember what Haven or Sanctuary was about. But like I said, these books are really short, so there's not much time for like relationship and character development. So I remember what they're about now. Okay, took me a minute, but it's basically about these characters who, like, the first book is about a character who like is in the woods, and this guy like tries to kill her, and this other guy saves them, and it's just that, like, it's just very weird circumstances. And like I said, there's no build up in these books for the sexual relationships. Like, it's just them like, I like BDSM, and the girl's like, what's that? Like, you basically, like I just said. So they were only 3-star worthy. Like, they were good. They, like, you know, they're written very well, but they weren't like the most amazing thing I've ever read, you know. I read Ruin and Rising, which was the worst thing I've ever read in my life, and I obviously gave this book 2 stars, which I should have changed it to 1, but I was giving it 2 to be generous because I like Nikolai and I like Soya and I love the Darkling. I'm the Darkling trash, but this is the worst thing I've ever read. Finally, Never thought I'd see the day, but we have come to reach my last book, and it is A Lesson in Thorns. And I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. Okay, so this book is basically about these 6 people who grew up in this, no, they didn't grow up, they spent a summer in this like mansion school thing, and a lot of people compare it to The Secret History, but their parents were like doing some secret stuff, and you know, they would just play with each other. And so the dad of one of the characters died, so they all come back and like just end up having one big relationship between 6 people, and that's literally it. And like, this book could have been good, but there was no communication between the characters. And I feel like if you're going to be in a polyamorous relationship, you need to learn communication. Like, communication is key in general, but when you're in a polyamorous relationship, like he needs to be like the most important thing. Like, that needs to be like your number 1 on the list. They did not communicate at all. Like, the smutty scenes were good nonetheless, but the communication just was not there. And they never talked about their issues, and the main character was boring. And the book also got corny at times. Like, there was this one line where the girl was like, people actually, like, she was like, how did people talk to each other before iPhones? And like, the whole paragraph was corny, and I forgot like what happened. It was like, yeah, this book could have been better. It was good, but it could have been better. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I have to go take thumbnails before I forget. Yeah.
On the spaceship, I'm a space cadet. Big white bitch in my habitat. Ain't a lot of stage like a lady.